Part D.2 CSS Layout Control. Starting from this video, so we will do a very important topic in CSS, layout control. And we will use several parts. Part 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because this part is very, very important. All right, so let us start. First, property. Display property. Yeah, this is a very important property. So let us study the details of this one. Yeah. Before we start that, here, let me say something about this layout topic. Yeah. In our project 1, remember in our project 1, the second question, I asked you to do some layout, right? Yeah. How did we do the layout? There, we arrange several elements, some lists, and a few more elements. Yeah. How do we arrange those elements? We use a table to do it, right? Yeah. Here you can see the table element can be used to do the layout of several elements. Now, in CSS, there is a different way to do the layout. Yeah. Actually, there are so many factors, many properties we can use to do the layout. Yeah. So when we start with the property, display property. This property, display property, that we can use to do the layout. Yeah. All right. The display property is the most important CSS property for controlling layout. Yeah. This one, we see the importance of this property, critical for the layout, CSS layout. Yeah. All right. Usage. The main reason using this property, replace table on layout design. Here you can see replace table. Yeah. So why replace table? Yeah. Before the CSS technology was created, people always use HTML element table to do the layout. Okay. That's the old way layout. Yeah. Then, now the new way layout, the CSS way layout, replace the old way. Yeah. Here, yeah, display property used to replace the old way. So why replace the old way? You will see if the layout, when the layout becomes very complicated, if you still use the table, your table structure will be extremely complicated. And you have a lot of limitations when you use table for the layout. Yeah. So, because table structure, you cannot break the table structure. So you have to use the existing table structure. Then, within that frame, so that format, then you can, change a little bit, to do the layout. Now, when you go to the CSS way, you have a lot more freedom. You can, organize your layout. Yeah. All right. So replace. Later, I will compare the old way table layout and the new way CSS layout. Yeah. So you will get a better view on both ways. Yeah. The display property specifies how an element is displayed. Yeah. So that's important. How do you want to display an element? Yeah. This display is the name of a property name called display. Then you have different property values. those values will tell the web browser how to display that particular element. Yeah. So let us, before we look at the value first, let us review the concept, block and inline elements. We learned that, right? Yeah, in our first video of CSS. Yeah. Block element, inline element. So what's the difference here? Just a review. Yeah. All right. Every HTML element has a default display value. Yeah. The display value, we do not assign it, but that element has a default value. What is the default value? That's another question. So we will see the answer soon. Yeah. It has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. Yeah. All right. What type here? What do you mean type, right? Inline type or block type. These two types. Yeah. We learned, yeah, before. Yeah. All right. The default display value for the most elements is block or inline. Most, okay? Not all, most, block or inline. Then you may have, some other property values. Here, block, inline, two values for the display properties. Two possible values for the display property. But later we can see we have other properties we may have. Yeah. All right. Let us look at example. The first example. The li element, list item. L, list, I, item. List item, right? In ordered list, unordered list, we need to use this element, li element. Yeah. The li element is a block element. You know the meaning, the block meaning, right? A block. Yeah. Later I will show the meaning another time. Yeah. Here I just do not spend time. Yeah. Because later, next slide, we will see. I will repeat the meaning for block and inline. Yeah, another time. Yeah. All right. Li, by default, it is a block element. So you know the meaning? Block. All right. Yeah. Start from the new line, yeah. Span the whole row, right? Yeah. Yeah. By default. So that means the default property value for the li element is block. Okay, yeah, all right. But because it's default, we can change that, right? Default, we can treat as initial value, right? The first value, initial value. But people can change that to a different value. Here, this li selector, tag name selector, then inside it, we define display property. We change its value from default block to inline. How about that? Sorry. After this change, now we change the display property for this li element to inline property. Inline property this time. Then, when we look at it, when we look at a list, when we look at a list, what will we see? Yeah. This is, yeah, so we do this. Yeah, suppose this is that unordered list. Unordered list. All right, yeah. Then, because we apply that rule to the li element, what you will see inline way to display items. Inline, this is inline way. Okay, yeah. The same line, stay in the same line. Yeah. Inline way. So the horizontal way. You can see, what you see is the horizontal way to display the list items. How about that? Yeah. Because this way, we commonly use it to display horizontal menu. Okay? In a web page, frequently we need to display a menu bar, right? The menu bar, yeah, like this. Okay, the style like this. Yeah. And later you will see, when people use tabs, yeah, tabs like that. Yeah, we can also use this way to display tabs. How about that? Okay, yeah. I will give you tab example later. Tabs, yeah. So very, very good, nice looking. You'll click a tab, you see one page. Another tab, you see a different page. How about that? Yeah. All right. So that is our first example. Yeah. Next rule. An inline element would display block value, block value, is not allowed to have other block elements inside it. Yeah, that's a rule. Suppose you have a block element. We know we can put other elements inside this element, right? But other elements, you cannot use, other still block elements. You have to use inline elements inside it. That's the rule, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Next. All right. So let's look at the block level elements. Yeah. So this time we review. Yeah. Block level elements and inline elements. Yeah. We learned this before. Yeah. Here I bring it back so refresh your memory. Yeah. All right. A block level element always starts on a new line and takes up the full width available of the page, stretches out to the left and the right as far as it can. Yeah. So that's the typical behavior of block level elements. Yeah. All right. Look at some examples. Here I just give you a little more examples. All right. Div, yeah, we saw that before, the div element. Yeah. The div element is very useful when we do the CSS layout. Yeah, we need to use this div element a lot. All right, yeah, div. Then H1 through H6. H1 tag, highlight, right? Highlight, a big font, used as the title. Well, when you display a title with different fonts, you can choose H1 through H6. 1, 2, 3. H1 the largest font size, H6 the smallest. Yeah. Form, yeah. HTML form element, that's another block. Yeah. Form, typically, we use form element to collect users' input. Users' input. Input data. Yeah, user typing first name, last name, a lot of information that we collect users' input. Then we submit the data to the server. How do we do it? Most of the time, we use form element to do it. Yeah, that form element, block element. Yeah, header, footer, section, OL, UL, LI. Right? Yeah. All right. So examples. Yeah. Then inline elements. Yeah. The meaning first. Review. An inline element does not start on a new line. Yeah. You keep in the same line and only takes up as much width as necessary. You do not stretch left or right. Just take the necessary space you need in that particular location. Natural location. The browser has some natural way to arrange the elements. Just use the browser's default way. Here, the browser's default positions to arrange elements. Default locations, but later we have chance to change the default locations. Yeah. Later, next video, we will see how to change default locations. Yeah. So let us look at some examples. Yeah. Span element, A anchor, hyperlink, A element, and image, IMG element. These examples. But here I like to explain the span element. What do we do use span element? When we want to display a block of text, we use span element. All right. But we can also use div to display block of text. Okay? Yeah. So here we have, these two different ways to display block of text. All right? But span way, inline way. Div way, block way. Block way. Okay? Yeah. You know the difference. Yeah. Block way, inline way, you know the difference, right? Yeah, because otherwise many people will get confused. We can use we can use both span element and a div element to display a block of text. But what is the difference? The main difference, inline way and a block way. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Next, another important property, hide an element. We can hide an element. So this property is very important. All right. Yeah. So let me explain. So why this property is very important. Yeah. All right. Hiding an element can be done by setting the display property to non-value. Non-value. The third value. So we learned block value, inline value, now the third value, non-value. Set the value to none. If you set the value to none, that element is hidden. Yeah. But you may ask me, why we need a hidden element, right? If you do not want to display one element, why you put there, right? Yeah. But the logic is more than that. Because think about in a dynamic web page, frequently based on the user's actions, the user will do a lot of actions, interactions, right? Click button, tab, link, right? So to do a lot of actions, when the users take some actions, you want to change the layout, right? Yeah. Based on the business needs, you need to change the layout for the user's actions. But how do you change the layouts, right? This hidden way is very useful when you want to change the layouts. Okay? For this action, now you want to show these elements. But for another action, you want to hide some of the elements and show another group of elements. Think about this logic. So that will make your layout design very powerful. How about that? Very powerful. Think about that. Yeah. Later, I will show you some examples. Yeah. All these features, I will show you examples. Then I will use project number 2 to give you a chance to practice all these important properties. Yeah, give you some, good chance to practice these pretty important properties. All right, so let's continue. The element will be hidden and the page will be displayed as if the element is not there. Yep. So what's the meaning of this? As if the element is not there. Yes, that's important. Yeah. So this rule is important. think about when we hide an element, if you set display property to none, then this element is treated as removed. Yeah, take it away. If you take it away, then the space occupied by the old element can be used to hold other elements. How about that? So that's the meaning. As if the element is not there. If it's not there, then you can put other elements in that place. That's the meaning. Okay? All right. Then, so there is another related property, visibility : hidden. Now, you can do something similar, but this time you use visibility property with value hidden. Okay? Yeah, visibility property. When you do that, then you can also hide an element, but there is a key difference. The key difference is the element will still take up the same space. Yeah, it's hidden, but that space is still occupied by the hidden element. So other elements, you cannot use this space. Yeah, the space for the hidden element. Yeah, all right. So the element will be hidden, but still affect the layout. Yeah. So based on your need, yeah, look at your business needs. Do you need, the first hidden way, the space can be used for other elements, or the second hidden way, the space cannot be used for other elements. All right? Yeah. So you have, these two ways you can choose from. All right. So we finish our video D.2 right here.